What is going on, my YouTube familia? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back into another banger of a video. Today's video, we're going to be discussing the topic of dysphagia. Unfortunately, I built dysphagia because of the GERD procedures that I had. One being the knee fundoplication, having that taken down, and then having the links implanted. And as of right now, I'm about 3 to 4 years deep with the links procedure. I had that at the end of mid 2019. So let's discuss my recent episode with dysphagia and my swallowing problems. Last week, I was trying to take medication. I was trying to take some Tylenol for a headache that I had. And I typically try to take pills with food or something with substance, so it can also help my pills go down. Unfortunately, for my case, swallowing pills is a struggle. And as of this case, last week, it got stuck like right under my Adam's apple. It was a really, really bad event. And I remember that I had to just call 911 to see if there's anything I could do. Should I be concerned? Should I be worried? Because I felt like a big knot right under my, what is this called? My Adam's apple. And it was just a lot of discomfort. To be honest though, I don't remember if I took two pills, and I don't remember if both of them got stuck in my throat or one, but I felt like after some time, I felt so much pain that I couldn't distinguish if it was one pill or both pills that got stuck. I took the medication with some fruit, and I thought that it was gonna go down. It typically does, but this time it got stuck. And to be honest, I'm not sure why. I felt like after having the GERD procedures and after some time, my swallowing has not been the same. Every time I get tested with the barium swallow, my results turn out to be good, if not great. The only thing that they always see is the pill. Sometimes it gets stuck, right? Sometimes it can be here. It takes some time for it to go down to my LES and then obviously just process into my stomach. Sometimes though, it goes right away with no problem. So it's kind of very, very inconsistent. And one thing that I got one time when I got the barium swallow was that whenever I swallowed, sometimes my swallowing it's a little bit slower, which is understandable. I guess the explanation they gave me was since there is food content with the acid and the regurgitation being part of it, food content coming back into and pushing back into my esophagus, then there's a inner force pushing up, and then when you're trying to swallow, then those muscles, and that kind of prevents it like the food and the food content going down into my esophagus and going into my stomach. It kind of just, opposite forces collide kind of thing. Because when I'm swallowing, I have constant swallows, it becomes a little bit easier. I had a doctor told me that sometimes you got to trigger your swallow. Sometimes you might have to swallow a little bit and then start swallowing a lot, kind of just triggering the muscles and then the opening of the link. So that makes sense to me, but it still is just a big struggle and it still sucks. It took for going back to last week, it took me about 5 hours to felt like the pill had gotten past my esophagus. But in that period, my esophagus was so irritated. I feel like to the point where it was like swollen almost, right? I feel like it was inflamed. It was so bad. And because of it, I built like flu-like symptoms afterwards, right? I feel like my acid got worse, first of all, besides the flu-like symptoms. I don't know if I got sick or not, which I don't believe so, because I went to get tested for the flu. I went to get tested for COVID, even strep throat, which I had in the past, which I'll tell you a story in a little bit. I was like, so what's going on? And I think everything was derived from that pill being stuck in my throat. And that's where the issues, at least for the last week and so on, came about. I'm still a little confused as to how that can even be the case, but I'm not sure. Maybe if I got, another virus or some type of, I don't know what it is. And this is why I've been struggling for the past week. Regardless, though, I'm getting a little bit better, but my acid has gone from here to like up here. It's been really, really bad. My gastro issues in general, my stomach has been, I would say, just acting up, very discomforting. My chest, of course, and I felt like that burning sensation constantly because of those issues and the issues that I had that day. The reason why I brought up the strep throat was because I believe it was summer of last year, I caught strep throat, and the strep throat gave me swallowing problems, gave me some type of dysphagia. I don't understand how that works, and I don't understand why that is. But I'm noticing a trend that every time I catch, maybe a virus, maybe an infection, it bothers my stomach issues really, really bad. It alters everything, and it enhances all of my issues that I already suffer from. It just becomes, times 10. Last year with that problem, I was really struggling eating for about, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe going into a month. I was so scared to eat heavy things or things that were just, I would say, more on the drier side. Things like bread, things like maybe even chicken, just heavier things, right? It was very unfortunate, but eventually it got better. I feel like after whatever was leaving my body, the strep throat and the infection was leaving my body, things got better. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. Another time, and this is going back to getting sick again, whenever I got sick and I caught an infection back in my homeland in El Salvador when I went some time ago, I caught an infection, I believe, and that gave me swallowing problems. So I'm just like, again, this trend of constantly having, every time I get sick, I'm starting to have swallowing problems, which before, though, whenever I had, any of these illnesses, even after having the first nisophiliplication, I don't remember having all these issues swallowing. Even right after having the links, I don't remember having all these issues with swallowing and my throat being irritated and the way it felt, even with pills. Pills, for sure, I can say that I've struggled after my surgeries because I didn't have an issue with that. Even when my issues were at its worst without the procedures, any procedures, they were pretty good. Like the swallowing problem was pretty. It was okay. I was able to take my medication, my PPI, pantoprazole. 30 minutes before I ate, and everything was cool. Everything was good. But I felt like as I started getting the procedures and as time kept, moving forward, it seems that I'm building side effects from the surgeries. Even the way I swallow now. For example, right? Where is my water? Here you go. When I drink water now, if I feel some type of discomfort, if I feel like food content is coming back to my esophagus, if it's acid or it's the physical food coming back, right? The food content, I can't just drink water and it'll go down. I have to first trigger my swallowing with a little bit of water and then take a big gulp, and that big gulp helps everything go back down. That's the way it feels like for me. I kind of hate that I built that habit, but that was the only way that I was able to get some relief, because back in the day, I remember having so much pressure in my chest and I wouldn't understand why that was, and I swallowed water to try to get the food content down, but that wouldn't happen. Sometimes I would get heart palpitations and my heart will start racing. But one day I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to take a big gulp of water. And when that happened, I felt so much relief, and my heart palpitations actually went down, and my heart rate went back to normal, which is crazy, and is just another part of dealing with GERD and dealing with the acid reflux or regurgitation, you name it. And I just felt like that was just very, very unfortunate. And recently, now to give you guys an update, I went to the doctor to see if there's anything that I can do. For example, in my mind, I don't know if there is a a therapist that can help me with my throat issues, right? Or swallowing problems. Because every time I get tested, for example, the Manonotry Study, when I get that done, when I get that tested, when I get that test results back, my muscles are really strong. They work just fine. My muscles, when the food goes down, it works very fluid, right? It has a good flow, and it pushes the food down. But that doesn't really translate to what I experience, right? So even the test results that are good doesn't really translate to me having a good swallowing motion and just a good process when I swallow. So I went to the doctor, and he really told me basically what we know now. If you've been keeping up with my channel and what I know now, it's all a mechanical problem. At this point, if anything gets fixed or were to get fixed, and that includes my dysphagia, that includes my GERD, and especially my regurgitation issues, it would have to be surgically. It would have to be through a surgery. We don't know what surgery yet. I've talked to my surgeon before. He wanted me to get a Bravo study for about 48 to 72 hours. I don't know if I want to get that this year, but it's looking like I have to, because there are some issues and some symptoms that are getting worse. And at some point, I have to make that decision. When are you going to start getting procedures again? Maybe looking into having another surgery to see if you can fix your issues, because my body will probably push me to that limit. Mentally and physically, I don't want to, because I know how much trauma and how hard it is on the body to have those surgeries. For me, it's been really tough. If you kept up with my channel, you know the amount of procedures and surgeries that I've had in the past. And I'm only 29 years old, going into 30 soon. So that's where I'm at when it comes to seeing what's next for me. I might decide to do all of that and just, try to figure out what's the plan, and talk to my surgeon. So I don't know if you guys have experienced something like this with dysphagia. I know in my comments, some of you guys have came and talked to me about your swallowing problems, even without having the surgery. I don't know what that's like, and I don't know what could be causing that, but maybe it could all be due because of GERD, right? Who knows? Every case is different. That's so bad. That's the crazy part about this disease. Everybody has a different case, and they can be healed differently. And some of them can be healed the same, and some of them can be healed differently. And some people, their GERD is being caused by something else. It's just a lot at once. At least I know for me, it's because of the surgeries that I had, and the side effects, right? For example, another side effect could be the gas, the bloating, the chest issues, sometimes the random pains that you get from the surgeries. It's unfortunate, but it's part of a surgery, right? It's part of having surgeries. At this point, my issue is mechanical, and my doctor was pretty straightforward with it. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He just said, you either have to get this fixed and talk to your surgeon about it, or just right now take medication until you talk to him. But if you want, to try to find healing, you will have to talk to your surgeon and maybe probably have another procedure, and which has been what I've been trying to delay for a while, but it might come to those terms. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will keep you guys posted. I'll keep you guys updated on everything. We'll see how that turns out. But right now I'm recovering from everything that I just went through this past week, probably like week and a half. It's been tough. It's been a struggle. So we'll see what happens. I'm probably gonna get back on, most likely back on PPIs for some time. I'm going out of the country next month for my birthday, so I want to just not have acid problems while I'm traveling for sure, and I want to be able to get some rest while I'm over there and just do all the activities without having the acid. So probably gonna get back on PPIs. I've talked about this before too, that sometimes I get on PPIs. It just depends on the situation. For the most part, I'm always off. For the most part, I'm off. I would say always off. For the most part, I'm off. But this time, I'm probably gonna get back on for some time until I try to figure out these issues and probably talk to my surgeon. So I hope that you guys learned something from this. If you have an experience or something that helped you with dysphagia and swallowing problems, please comment on the section below of the YouTube channel. We would love to hear. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear from you guys' experience and see how it turned out, right? It doesn't matter what kind of experience you had when it comes to dysphagia. I would love to hear, and any advice, any tips, I will highly, consider it. And if it helps me, or I find it interesting or some type of way I can talk about it in my channel, you can help more people than just myself, and not just in the YouTube comments. So thank you guys for watching another video. Thank you guys for all the love. Don't forget, I have a podcast and it's taken off. A lot of people are enjoying our podcast with Alyssa and I. It's called Within the Circle. You can find it in all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We have a YouTube channel for it as well. I'm gonna leave the links in the description below for everything, so you guys can it will just take you right away. You can subscribe, like, comment, turn on the notifications, do what you have to do. But as always, thank you, familia. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the blessings. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.